Hello again, everybody, and welcome to another Throwback Thursday listening party. And we have worked our way at this point all the way through all of our studio albums, including one album by a completely different band called Jubilee Riots, which we did last week. And this album is the first album by Enter the Haggis post Jubilee Riots. So it's kind of like a born again kind of album. It's an album called Broken Arms, and it's really more of an EP than an album, so tonight's party is not going to be quite as long as some of the other ones. This is only 7 songs, but we're going to take you through the writing and the recording. It's the only album we've ever done that we have a music video for every single song on the record, so that's what you're going to be seeing tonight, one after the other, is the video. So we'll talk about the videos, and we'll talk about the songs. This album was the first album that we ever completely self-produced / recorded. Our man Bruce McCarthy at the Beat Farm in Toronto recorded the entire album. So Bruce, before we get into the songs, what was that experience like for you? Was there like an extra level of stress or responsibility that you felt knowing that you didn't just have to write the parts and play them and like kick it out of the park like you always do, but you also were responsible sonically for the whole record?
I guess I don't really think of it that way in terms of being ultimately responsible for the sonics of the record. Ideally, you want to be capturing a good performance, and you want to capture that in the best way possible to present that performance in the best light. That's kind of how I look at it. I guess I was nervous at times, just in the sense that I didn't have a lot of experience doing it, but I didn't really feel like I said, I didn't really feel like the whole thing was riding on me. I can remember some pulling out my hair, what little of it I had left at that point, trying to get different drivers installed for new interfaces and stuff like that. So that was stressful. Everyone was pretty patient about that, but it's pretty frustrating when everyone's just kind of sitting around waiting for you to try and troubleshoot something. But as far as like the actual recording stuff, I thought what we lacked, or what I may have lacked in terms of experience, we made up for by having as much time as we needed to work on stuff without worrying about being in the studio and burning through time and burning through money. So maybe in the end, things kind of evened themselves out to where we were able to kind of feel fairly relaxed through the process. I thought we were. So.
Yeah, it was fun. I mean, Bruce at the time it's not the place he's in now. He was renting a house in Toronto, and a couple of us actually stayed there quite a few times during the process of the recording. So Bruce would be up until like 1 or 2 in the morning working on rough mixes or working on the set that we'd been doing that day, and then some of us would go to bed, and then we would wake up the next morning and come downstairs, and he'd already be down there hard at work and working on parts and things. And it was nice because we had a place to go. Like if Bruce was working downstairs on something, we could all kind of go upstairs to the kitchen and make a sandwich or go to the living room and hang out and work on lyrics and things. So it was cool. It was like a residential studio sort of vibe. So the first track on this album is called First Defenders. A lot of the songs on this album were lyrically inspired by a book, one particular book, and it's a book that Trevor read.
Yeah, it was written by my dad's friend Dave, and he and my parents live in a little village called Bayfield, which is on the Ontario side of Lake Huron, and I spent a lot of time growing up at a cottage just outside of Bayfield. And so, and I was actually just throughout the last 5 months or so, I was there for probably 4 out of the 5 months in Bayfield. So when I was kind of reflecting on this record leading up to this chat, I was sitting there at a cottage right on the shores of Lake Huron in Bayfield, very close to where certainly where First Defenders, the story of it, took place, and also Mrs. Elliott, of course, and Salonica as well. Those 3 songs, I would say, most specifically are influenced by Dave's book. The book's called For the Love of Bayfield, if I didn't mention that before. But this particular story, First Defenders, it took place back in the 1800s. I forget exactly when, but it was certainly before Canada became a country, which was in 1867. And it was a very small group of settlers who had come to, seek a new life in that area on the shores of Lake Huron, farmers and fishermen and whatnot. And there were rumors of a massive invasion, of a Fenian invasion coming up from Chicago. It was supposed to be like 200,000 strong type of thing. And there were probably, 50 or 100 people who lived in this area. But, and of course, there was no Canada, so there was no military defense either. So, but I was amazed just reading the story that these people who were, recent immigrants, were willing to sort of rise up and to protect their sort of newfound homeland that they had. That they'd taken from the natives. But, oh God, history is so complicated, eh? But I was kind of struck by the image of these settlers with pitchforks and rusty muskets standing on the shore, because specifically one night there was everyone was on high alert for weeks kind of leading up to this rumored invasion, which never ended up coming. But one night specifically, there was some kind of, people were on high alert. Someone thought they saw ships coming in the night. Everyone was alerted, and everybody was standing on the shore line, sort of waiting for these giant ships to come in, which never did. But still, just the idea of, being prepared to fight and die, in that kind of situation, I thought was a pretty impressive story.
Yeah, it is, and it lends itself well to a song. This song is largely in 5/4 time, which it's one of the few songs that we've written that we can say that about. So if you're trying to clap along and you're having a hard time in the instrumental sections or the verses, that would probably be why. I'm trying to remember where the main kind of instrumental melody line of this song came from. Craig, you and I kind of worked it out together. I remember initially I was playing something similar to this, but I think we were playing the song in G minor, and then for the sake of vocals, I think we shifted it down a half tone to F sharp minor, which made it a real bitch for Craig to play on whistle, if I'm not mistaken. Is that right, Craig?
Yeah, I think I switched over to an E whistle at that point, and it was pretty weird because with an E, you're either it's kind of unusual to have an E whistle. I think I had to track one down. I had one sent up from Sasato, which is down in North Carolina somewhere. I've relied on them quite often for strange keys. So they sent one up and it was good to go.
Yeah, and it's a cool part. In the video, you'll see someone had the idea of Trevor and Craig and myself just playing all those instrumental sections, but as though we were, I don't know what, marionettes or something, because we kind of would just start from a total freeze and then play the part and then freeze again. And it was extremely low tech. We literally just sat there and did it and tried to strike plateaus instead of, using After Effects or computer effects or anything like that. So you can see there's at least one shot somewhere where I think I stop a little bit after everybody else because I forgot I was supposed to. So, keep your eyes peeled for that.
Musically, I really like the build in this song, kind of leading into the last chorus. It's I remember working on it all together, and there's a really cool intensity to it, the way things start to build and drive and whatnot. And I don't do a lot of production-y kind of things, but I do remember being a part of working on that delayed fiddle fiddle line that's in that, and I thought that turned out really cool too.
Yeah, so I think what wound up happening is there's a part that I play that's just doo-dun, dun, doo-dun, doo, doo-dun, dun, doo-dun, doo, doo-dun, dun, over top of the verses. And in that last verse, you guys put, it was like a delay and maybe a crystallizer or some sort of like Alter Boy or like one of those Sound Toys plugins to kind of not only delay it a kind of a weird amount, but have it kind of building over itself and also jumping octaves and changing sounds. And on headphones especially, it's really cool. It's really effective. I remember sitting upstairs in the kitchen as Bruce did his drum takes for this song. And that spot in particular, I don't know how many times I heard you play that, Bruce, but there was like something really specific that you wanted to do. And to me, it sounded like you were nailing it every time. But I would just hear you yell some sort of swear word and then start and come back in that verse and do the build and then yell another swear word and go back in.
I remember that actually more, and I probably did it there too, but in King's Daughters too. I remember banishing you guys. I think it was you and Mark.
Yeah.
Banishing the two of you from the basement so that I could just, be free to fall on my face by myself and struggling. But
it does not come across in the final product. All the drum parts in this record are really cool.
As far as the video itself goes, Matt, who did all the videos for us for this record, was just by his own. He didn't have any help, anyone else on camera that I remember. So I remember, like, for this one, he was up on the shed, and he was up in the trees, I think, at different times. As we did the song multiple times, so you get different angles. But I just remember him crawling around on roofs and things.
That's a good point, yeah. Any of these videos, our buddy Matt Connell, as Mark's saying, he was the only cameraman. So, yeah, anytime you see multiple angles, sometimes he would have, like, a second camera on a tripod. But more often than not, we would just play the song 10 or 15 times, and he would do some different angle or some different shot each time. So, yeah, he's a very talented guy.
He was pretty creative with his property, too, because we did at least 4 videos at his house,
We did
which was an old church.
Yeah. First Offenders, Basement, King's Daughters, and Salonica we did driving up and down the roads right outside of his place. So it was all like in a very short distance for those 5.
So that's interesting, though, that the Two Bare Hands video, which people saw at the last Throwback Thursday, was shot in the same room that just a few feet away from where we did King's Daughters and we did First Offenders inside there, and we did Mrs. Elliott.
The wall that everyone was doing sign language against is literally like 5 or 6 feet from the corner where we did the video for Basement, which you're going to see later on.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah, he's very, very creative with that space. It's pretty amazing. All right, well, we'll get to the first song. This one is called First Offenders from our album Broken Arms.
How are you? Nice day today. I'm here in the lovely Canadian town of Fort Erie. This is as close as I've been allowed to get to the United States over the past couple of months. And I'm right by the Niagara River, and across the river from me is an American town. So the trivia question is, what is the name of this beautiful American town?
That's it. The next song on the record is Mrs. Elliott, which has kind of become sort of a fan favorite in recent years. It's another song inspired by a story from that book about Bayfield. There was a woman called Mrs. Elliott. I've told this story from stage a bunch of times before, but she ran the Albion Hotel, which was a pub and a hotel on the main street. And but she was, from the sounds of the story, she was just like a really tough woman who was able to hold everything together between running the hotel and leading a family when everybody around her died for some tragic reason or another, which is described in the song. This is called Westfield, outside of Northampton, the Doe residence. We spent some time there. I remember Brian and I working on that quite a bit. Brian changed up a bunch of the chords that I'd had originally and kind of polished it to the point where it is.
What I remember most about the recording of this song is, I forget who else is at the studio at this point, but Trevor, you had done your vocals for Mrs. Elliott.
And I had exhausted me, apparently, because I fell asleep on the couch in the same room that Brian continued recording his vocals.
And he didn't know that I was planning on doing those metal screams. And so I knew that they were going to shred my voice, so I did all my other vocals before I did those screams, and then I overdubbed the screams, basically. And so Bruce had probably come up together the rest of my vocal takes, so there's probably a good period of silence in the room with us just listening on headphones. And then I went to do the scream takes. And so Trevor's lying on the couch, and is just, and the morning comes, yeah! Got bolt upright with headphones on, just looking around, completely didn't know where he was. It was mostly on purpose.
Like raising children.
So yeah, I do a few takes of that metal scream. That's probably the craziest scream that I've ever put on a record anywhere. But it sounds pretty massive. Bruce, do you remember? Is that like multiple takes of the scream blended, or did you like?
No, I think it's just the one voice, like the one take of it.
Mark, what's the deal with your bass tone in this song?
Well, it's a distortion. I don't remember if it's my Sans amp or if it's just like an internal distortion that Bruce had, but we committed to it to tape. We didn't. It wasn't added later, so we recorded the distortion and basically had to live with it. But I think it turned out being the right thing for the song.
Yeah, agreed. It sounds really big. Like the intro to this song on the recording sounds really huge. This, I think it was the first one we recorded, wasn't it? Didn't we have this one done?
Yeah, it was the first one. We may not have even done these sort of in the same chunk. We may have done Mrs. Elliott separately when we were just still in pre-production for these other 6 songs that ended up on there, and a few other ones too. And then I think we came back, I feel like it was maybe a couple months later to record the other ones.
This is the only song on Broken Arms mixed by our friend Zach McNees. He mixed Mrs. Elliott, and then the rest of the record wound up being mixed by Jonathan Wyman, who did Penny Black and Penny Red. So I think that's all the trivia that I've got for Mrs. Elliott. It's a really fun one to play live. It's probably the loudest and proudest bagpipes on this record, I would say. Oh, there's actually a lot of pipes on this record. But it's definitely a loud one, so turn it up. This is Mrs. Elliott.
son, a tiny helpless lad, contracted something hideous, they don't know what he had. But you kept on with tomorrow, never dwelling on the past. You can push it to the corner, but the pain will always last.
And the second was your husband, a good man all would say. He left you feeling helpless when he took an early grave. You had to raise a family, you had to run the inn, but keep the door unlocked when you need a drink.
Oh, sorry, Mrs. Elliott, may rest in peace. The story is as bad as it can be. Waving on your lawn, the devil at your door. You better close your eyes and get some sleep, 'cause the morning comes early. Next came poor old Harvey, he was only 23, with a hunger for adventure, yeah, he could have been something. And to make the matter harder, it was Fred who pulled the gun, so they hauled him off to Kingston, now you're standing on your
Then
own.
they sent young Freddie back to you to soothe your ailing bones. You hung your head and said a prayer when he finally came home. But he caught tuberculosis and you lost your final son. In this twisted game of life we play, you lost.
Oh, sorry, Mrs. Elliott, may rest in peace. Your story is as bad as it can be. Raving on your lawn, the devil at your door. You better close your eyes and get some sleep. The morning comes early for you. You live, you live, you live, in spite of the grief that kept on coming. You live, you live, you live, in spite of a life of loss. You could not be broken. What do you think about it? Looking down from up above, I pray heaven has been kinder on your heart. Sorry, Mrs. Elliott, may you rest in peace. Your story is as bad as it can be. Raving on your lawn, the devil at your door. Better close your eyes and get some sleep. Oh, sorry, Mrs. Elliott, may you rest in peace. Your story is as bad as it can be. Raving on your lawn, the devil at your door. Better close your eyes and get some sleep. 'Cause the morning comes early. And the devil's at your door. The devil's at your door. The devil's at your door.
So the next song on Broken Arms is a kind of heavy swung, slower track called Basement. And the video for this one was a lot of fun. Craig actually wound up featuring very heavily in the video. And without giving away too many spoilers, Craig, what was your experience like working on this video?
Well, it was pretty interesting because it was just a case of trying to fit in, which is what the video became about, you know. Somehow, I mean, it's kind of funny because whenever we do a song, as you guys all know, I'm pulling out one thing after another. You guys are all relatively normal, but I'm trying to, I pull out a harmonica or pull out a whistle or pull out the pipes, maybe a trumpet, whatever. I never know what to do. And so you guys get to listen to quite a racket before I find something that will be accepted into the mix. In the case of Basement, the only thing that was accepted was a case of beer because I didn't do anything on the song.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
People realize, I mean, I'm sure they don't realize, that a lot of the songs that they know and love, there have been rehearsals where you played saxophone or trumpet or keyboards or harmonica before settling on pipes or one of the other instruments that you play. And it's a testament to your versatility, but also just to the fact that you don't play a lot of instruments that have a lot of subtlety to them. There's not a lot of songs where you can like sneak a bagpipe into it, you know?
No. The pipes come from the old days of, do you want the ruddy song or not? You know? Yeah. No volume control. I did try it. I tried hooking up another mic and hooking up a pedal and all the rest of it. You just go back to the original sound.
Yeah.
I think the video is, to me, though, quite appropriate for the song. You know, the song really is about fitting in. You know, as a kind of as an outcast. You know, I think a lot of musicians can kind of relate to the experience of kind of feeling like, as you know, anyone who's kind of finds themselves interested in the arts can feel a bit like an outcast, I think, and you know, going through high school or whatnot, and yeah, you're trying to fit in with sort of a group of like-minded outcasts, you know, ultimately, you know, in the end. So I just think from that standpoint, it's a pretty appropriate video.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, and Matt was great in putting it together. You know, just anything we suggested, he was on it. You know, we said, oh, I could, you know, maybe I'll get in by bringing in a case of beer, and somehow we came up with, oh, what if it was, you know, we had this case of Moosehead beer, and we ended up saying, well, what if it was Haggis Head beer? And Matt was like, well, I could do that. And the next thing you know, he'd found a logo online and color printed it off and cut it out, and you can actually see the invisible tape holding the thing on to the front of the case if you look for it in the video.
That's funny. Mostly what I remember about the recording of the song audio-wise, I played electric guitar and fiddle. The fiddle part, I feel like for a long time I kind of resisted it. I didn't feel like fiddle was going to be the best thing, and Trevor kept on saying like it's got to be like a No More Stones, like kind of a Strat space sort of fiddle sound, and I kind of suck at playing Strat space. I didn't grow up playing them. It's not part of the Ontario like fiddle tradition. So all I did was basically channel Ashley McIsaac and try and do a bunch of those like quick quadruplet things that he does. And I'm glad that we managed to pull it off for the record, because every time we've tried to play it live, it's like I'm just barely hanging on playing those quadruplets. There's a lot of freaking notes coming through. There's a guitar solo in this song that I played on my Jazzmaster that I drove these guys crazy for like 2 weeks, because every time we paused recording any song, rehearsing anything, I was practicing this stupid solo because I had this idea that I wanted to play, and I just played it over and over and over and over and over again. And then when we started playing the song live, we knew I was going to have to play fiddle, and so Craig took it upon himself to learn the guitar solo. Which
I do remember that. Man, that's a tough solo. I mean, I'm not a guitarist in the first place.
I was impressed at the amount of work that you put into pulling that thing together, because it's
one of these days maybe I'll be able to do it, but then we've had Rose joining us, and so you've been able to play the guitar, and Rose played the fiddle bit. So
it's a fun song, and having Rose on stage with us does make it a lot easier.
Absolutely, yeah. I really miss that guitar solo, and when we can't have it as well. But yeah, it's a super cool fiddle part. I was going to mention that too. Very
Thanks.
Cool.
Rose plays it better than I do, so we should keep on doing it that way.
Okay.
It's actually a short song, too. It's the shortest one on the record. This is 2 minutes and 56 seconds of goodness. This is called Basement.
Turn
Hello, everyone, and trivia question. We recorded Broken Arms in Toronto at Bruce's studio, which meant I had to fly from Portland, Maine to Toronto, and I was missing one vital thing to get there. Crucial item. Let me know what it was.
The next song on Broken Arms is probably one of the heavier songs on the record, besides maybe Mrs. Elliott. This is called King's Daughters, and in true nerdy Enter the Haggis fashion, it sounds like a heavy Perfect Circle / Radiohead kind of track, but it's about 16th century French Canadian history. So
they used to, it was King Louis the something or other of France. He was sending shiploads of women down the St. Lawrence to populate New France.
Shiploads or shitloads?
What did I say? Shiploads.
Shitloads.
Oh, shiploads. Okay.
Yeah.
So they were kind of from all walks of life. From like there were some aristocrats and then some poor women too, and they were also of varying degrees of beauty. So apparently, the most beautiful ones were scooped up quickly, and then the less attractive ones found themselves further and further down the St. Lawrence River with hairier and hairier woodsmen.
You can actually read in history that they actually complained. I guess first would be like Quebec City, Montreal. Is Trois-Rivières? No, Montreal would be kind of the end of the line of French Canada. And I think by the time they got to Montreal, the men were complaining that they got the leftovers.
But it is a true part of Canadian history, and the Filles du Roi, right? My French accent is horrible, but the King's Daughters. The song is kind of about the experience that these women would have had, just kind of leaving their homes behind. I mean, it's a different immigration story. We've heard lots of Irish immigration stories and lots of other stories, but this is one that's very specific to Canada, and it's a crazy part of history. It's really cool. Trev, I don't know if you have a demo anywhere of how this song sounded when you brought it to the band. I feel like it's one of the ones that we changed the most significantly, but maybe I'm remembering that wrong.
I certainly never intended it to be as heavy and aggressive sounding as it turned out. I love the way it turned out, but yeah, certainly if there is a demo of it, it would be much folkier. I remember I had this thing kicking around in my head for years and years before it was recorded. I'm sure I must have played it for you, years before we ended up recording Broken Arms. We spent a good chunk of time working this all out together, and there's a really killer progressive pipe solo in it, unlike any other pipe performance I've ever heard before. And I know Craig spent a long time at one-on-one at Bruce's place there.
Craig, what was the process of writing that solo like?
Well, I had an idea just kind of in the beginning. I thought, well, why don't I just see what kind of comes out of the instrument? So I just put it on headphones, and I just played along with my practice chanter, which was in the wrong key, but I tried it anyway just to get a general idea of tone, and dissociated myself from the pitch difference, which was in minor seconds. And I thought, well, kind of, maybe I got a general idea, but I wasn't too happy with it. Then I played, I got the pipes out, and I did play and record something, which you guys all did here. I don't know if you recall. And I thought, this is pretty boring. But for some reason, Brian, I remember you going, yeah, that's not a bad idea. But when you were gone, it was all of a sudden, it was just Bruce and myself. And so I had to figure out what am I going to do here? And Bruce kept saying, I don't know if you recall this, Bruce, you kept saying, no, it's got to be a bit crazier than that, It's got to be a bit, it's got to be out there, And I'm like, man, what am I going to do? How am I going to make this thing out there? It's bagpipes. I've got 9 notes plus a couple of wonky ones that I can sort of bend. How am I going to do this? And then I sort of thought, Well, maybe the answer is in how I play what few notes I have. And so I thought,
We've both taken our pants off by this point as well.
Bruce, you don't have to tell them everything.
I remember that from Brian Eno's playbook, actually. I think that's
remove pants.
Remove the from the room. No pants in the studio.
Yeah, well, I removed the pants from the bagpipes. Not that they were ever wearing any, because it's more of a kilted instrument. But I just remember just throwing a bit of a vibrato in there and just really as much sort of shaking to get as much energy as I could. And then I wanted it at the end just to go, kind of imitating what you can do on an electric guitar. So I think it's the most out there solo that I've ever done, and probably the most out there one I think I've heard without tooting my own bagpipes too much. I haven't heard another one like it, but I'm sure it'll happen, you know, and then I'll have to do something else. I don't know, jump off a building onto my bagpipes for the next solo.
The one other sort of interesting trivia for this tune was that was it Mark? Did you find this guy with the reaction video?
Yeah, I think I did. I don't remember how I came across. It's pretty awesome.
So there's a guy who watches random music videos or any videos. I don't know.
Watches and comments on them as he's watching, and he hadn't heard of us before. I think we made fun of the name a bit, but then he was surprised that he liked the song or something. But his comments were pretty awesome.
Well, howdy, nearly senior citizen here. Greetings, boys and girls, and welcome to this. It is a late day. It is 10 after 9 a.m., and I need to get some videos done. Oh, yuck. Oh, that was disgusting. Oh, ugh. Looks like I coughed up one of my parasitic worms there. My apologies. Enter the Haggis King's daughter. Right now. Oh, okay. No more parasitic worms, I hope. Oh, wow, bagpipes! That's awesome!
Should we record a reaction video to his reaction video?
Oh. How far down the rabbit hole is this going to go? The only other thing that I remembered from the recording of this is after that the bagpipe solo, it drops back down to one last sort of bridge section and then cuts out for the beginning of a chorus. That's kind of a classic, like alt rock, play the first part of the chorus quiet and then drop back in heavy. But what we did was we recorded, the guitar sound is just, I think it was the Jazzmaster. I don't know if you remember, Bruce, but completely unplugged with a microphone on the electric guitar. So that's why you get that kind of AM radio strummy guitar kind of sound there, is that it was actually just the sound of a microphone on an unplugged electric guitar. So sometimes you can find cool sounds that way, which is an idea we stole from the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
I like some of these, just thinking some of these tunes that we kind of write parts for in the studio, because especially when I'll write it, like the chorus for this tune, and then Brian sings it, because he sang different lyrics in both the choruses, I think, accidentally.
Right.
For this tune. And there was a number of tunes, looking back, I was thinking that, I think Archer's Parade, there's a different lyric in one of the choruses, and I think on Split Crowbar too on the new record, there's a few tunes like that are like so new to Brian that he steps up, does an awesome vocal performance, but just doesn't sing quite the same lyrics chorus to chorus. So the only reason this kind of sticks out for me is because when you're trying to do the artwork for an album and you've got a limited number of booklet space, you've got to, it's nice to be able to just put one chorus in and the verses. But when the singer sings something slightly different in multiple choruses, you have to add extra choruses in space.
Yeah, that's very true. That's true. And definitely what happens is you get to the point where you're going back through and comping and you realize that we only did 3 vocal takes and You know, the only one that really turned out really well is the one where I was singing a lyric slightly differently, and by that point we're usually a few beers and some whiskey in, and we all just say, "Ah, hell with it, we'll just go with it." And yeah, I think which
all good.
is the difference between I believe the world is a better place now, and I believe the world is a brighter place now.
Something like that, yeah.
And I still don't know which chorus I sang which in, and when we do it live, the couple times we've done it,
Just watch people's mouths in the crowd. Yeah.
yeah, and I don't think you sing. Do you sing harmony on that line? So we're probably singing different.
No,
words.
you only sing harmonies on "I Believe That the World." Oh, yeah, and then you're off.
You struggle at harmony, yeah.
That's good. Okay.
I was gonna say you can't watch people's mouths for the lyrics anymore.
Yeah, I know. I don't know what we're gonna do.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
One other thing that I might splice in here is shortly after we released the video for this song, we were contacted by a guy in a completely different band who very nicely, like not very, it wasn't a very combative message or anything, but basically claimed that we had ripped off his band's song with the intro. And sent us a link to their band playing this song, and I gotta say it's pretty similar on the intro, but we'd never heard of them, we'd never come across them, like our paths had never crossed. It was a complete coincidence.
Washed up dirt in your cold regret.
It is kind of interesting how those things can happen sometimes. Anyways, don't sue us. All right, well, this is probably, I would feel comfortable saying this is my favorite song on this album. This is called King's Daughters.
Shores of Normandy. Just another 1,000 steps and she'd be free. Sharpen knife to cut loose ends. Hold your breath and turn your head. Drunken boat alone upon an angry sea. Oh, you good king's daughters come ashore. Snow to a wall of stone. Held her dress up carefully with legs so cold. Uniforms in ordered lines. Soldiers on the riverside, making landfall quickly as the water flows. Oh, the good king's daughters come ashore. Through the wet grass of this cemetery, tilted stones of black and gray and twisted trees. Long ago the names were lost, stolen by the wind and moss. Now the wild flowers grow so peacefully. Oh, you good king's daughters come ashore. across the ocean, voices call, knock down the door for one and all. You good king's daughters come ashore. Oh, you good king's daughters. I believe the world is a better place now. Cut ties to everything we've ever known. I believe the world is a brighter place now. Cut ties, searching for a place to go.
This large bone between the shoulder and elbow is the most commonly broken bone in children. And that's no joke.
Track 5 on Broken Arms is the one and only ballad on the record, and it's a pretty song that's become a staple of our live set, which is called Rose of Tyrone. And it was written, as all the songs in this album were, by our man Trevor. So Trevor, who is the Rose of Tyrone?
Nobody in particular. We've
Very carefully to your answer here, Louiston.
I deny it. Yeah, I'm not sure where that came from, the Rose of Tyrone. But we've taken a whole bunch of bus tours through Ireland and traveled through County Tyrone before, very close to where my paternal great grandparents came from. And yeah, we've learned a lot about the history of Ireland. And
Was it sort of a reference to the Rose of Tralee, or was that just like a total coincidence?
it's a total coincidence.
Oh, okay. Somebody in the chat, fill us in on the history of the Rose of Tralee, which is sort of like an Irish...
Wasn't that a song by that other band that had that similar sounding song to...
That's right. Then we're all going to find out that Coldplay also wrote one, and they were ripping off Joe Satriani, and it's just the whole thing. Yeah, it's in essence, it's a beauty contest in Ireland. It's a very, very old thing, and there's like there's a festival in Tralee, which I believe is for singles, and young singles will go to Tralee, they'll spend the weekend at this festival getting to know each other, and then at the end, one woman is crowned the Rose of Tralee, and she's sort of like the most beautiful single woman in Ireland for that year.
Well, the song makes a lot more sense to me now.
Okay. Wait for me, Rose of Tyrone. All right. I always thought that it was a reference, but I guess not.
It is now.
And hopefully you are all very busy in the chat right now, wildly correcting my assumptions about what the Rose of Tralee is, because I probably got that completely wrong. But we made this one pretty minimalist. There was discussion at one point of it literally just being Trevor strumming an acoustic guitar and singing by himself for the whole song, because it kind of has that campfire vibe. And in the end, I think it's got to be one of the most minimalist songs that we've put on a record, because it's like one acoustic guitar, one electric guitar, which we recorded at the Doe's place, which you reminded me of on Bruce's interface. And I think just two vocals, and Mark came in on bass, I think, right? Yep. And if I'm not mistaken, that's everything that's on that song. I think it's a pretty small number of tracks as we go. So it's tough because you got to get it all right when you do it that way. You can't hide behind layers. So Trevor did a great vocal performance on this one.
Yeah, we certainly talked about putting fiddle and or whistle on it as well. We try to do things. We don't try not to do them the obvious way, and it seemed like a very obvious fiddle or whistle part over there, which I'm sure would have been beautiful. But the guitar solo is I love really the way it turned out in the end. So
Yeah, I went for that kind of surf rock, kind of vibrato, trem kind of sound. And Bruce put together a lot of cool guitar tones on this record, just kind of all in the box in Pro Tools. And Bruce, if I recall, you created an alternate mix for this song, which you played for us the next day when we came into the studio.
I did. It was about 14 minutes long, I think. And I don't think any of you guys made it to the end. No one has who I've ever played it for. Yeah, it's basically, I was experimenting with these different tape delay effects, which we did end up having and using in the song to create sort of a bit of an atmosphere and ambience underneath what is an otherwise very sparse arrangement. Yeah, and just late one night when I had been, partaking in certain substances, I was just messing around with this thing, and I had this little clip of Trevor saying something at the end of a take and then laughing. And then I was just getting that to like feed back on itself through through this tape loop, and then sending it to all these other reverbs and delays, and then messing with that. I probably messed with that for about like 9 minutes straight, like morphing it into all these different things. Yeah.
And then you went back and did a second take, if I recall.
That's right. I did several takes,
the remix.
actually.
Okay, yeah, we got to share a little sample of that with.
Bruce, do you still have it?
I might have it like in.
If you do, maybe I'll end this listening party by just playing the whole thing, and people can.
No one will make it to the end.
So
It's never been done.
Stay tuned. That's how we'll end the party. We'll have our after party in the comments, and in the meantime, in the background, you're gonna have a 14-minute mix of Rose of Tyrone to partake to as you see fit. As the video for this song, Trev, do you want to talk about it a little bit? It was pretty brutal.
Yeah, it was very cold. We were playing a show at Hughes Room, a very nice folk venue in Toronto. Matt was there. He may have been filming us live doing something else at the show. And then we decided to go up, and we went upstairs through the green room, through the kitchen and out. And we found this kind of magical little flat rooftop at the back of the building overlooking sort of the Roncesvalles neighborhood of Toronto. But it was March, and it was very, very cold. And we had to do a few different takes of it because, as we said, Matt is one guy with a camera, so we've got to go through these videos a few times so he can get different camera angles and then splice it all together. But ooh, man, it was getting real cold on the fingers.
Neither of us could feel our hands at all, and I'm pretty sure, Trev, your knuckles were bleeding by the time we finished. I think there was splitting. And I remember there was more than one take ruined halfway because Matt was getting so wrapped up in filming that he would be walking backwards while filming and getting like closer and closer to the edge of the roof without looking, just staring at his screen. And it was almost like playing chicken. We would keep on playing as long as we could, and then we would just stop and yell because we thought he was going to fall. And he kept on getting mad at us and be like, I know where I am. I'm not going to fall off the roof. And I was like, that's the one angle we probably don't need to be in this video is, in Trevor's face, which then becomes a wildly spinning camera flying into space. All right, well, this version is only a paltry 3 minutes and 32 seconds long. So we're going to get to the video for Rose of Tyrone.
up and fight for the nation they have sent for me. I'm saddened to leave you and our children too. A picture of you I'll be taking in my memory. So kiss me once slowly and bid me farewell. I'll button my jacket, no trumpets or bells. Keep the bed warm for when I come home. Will you wait for me, Rose of Tyrone? Helping the children get dressed for the day. A handful of corn for the gander, and I'll be on my way. It won't be long till the leaves start to change. It won't be long till the snow flies, so bitter and pale. Kiss me once slowly and bid me farewell. I'll button my jacket, no trumpets or bells. Keep the bed warm for when I come home. Will you wait for me, Rose of Tyrone? Entrenched in my skin and in glorious end. My enemy's blood is mingled with mine. Brothers in death we unite. We could have been friends. We could have been friends. So kiss me once slowly and bid me farewell. I'll button my jacket, no trumpets or bells. Keep the bed warm for when I come home. Will you wait for me, Rose of Tyrone?
The next song on the album is called Salonica, and yeah, another sort of Bayfield area book. A woman from Clinton, Ontario, which is actually where my grandfather had a farm, and this was about a woman who was a teacher there, who signed up to serve in the First World War, back before women could even vote in Canada. It's amazing. And she ended up becoming a nurse and going to one of the most brutal war zones in a place called Salonica in Greece. But it kind of blew my mind that, it was a time where women were deemed too weak to vote, and here she was, like, the worst possible place. She was just a war hero. I just find the story to be incredible.
It was a fun one to record. It's got a similar kind of fiddle part to Balto, that kind of bouncy spiccato thing sort of throughout the whole song. I remember that being fun. I remember this being one that we kind of fought with what the actual feel in some of the sections was going to be, although maybe I'm wrong on that. Maybe I'm thinking First Offenders. But
we worked through some chorus ideas I remember in the studio too. Finally settled on that one. There was I can't even remember what the first incarnation was, but anyway, I remember we sort of cycled through a few different things. There was a lot of kind of spontaneous writing in the studio.
Yeah,
record.
I thought it went fairly smoothly. I think maybe what you're remembering is when we were doing First Defenders. I remember we tried all kinds of ways, all the way down to me playing a djembe and the five of us sitting in a circle, like trying to create this acoustic song or something. I don't know if you guys, I remember that.
I remember. Yeah.
It was incredibly futile effort, but yeah.
Sometimes you got to go through those steps. Yeah.
For me, the thing with Salonica, I guess one thing that I can mention is all of it was recorded at Bruce's place, except for the "Oh, we will go" part, which again we recorded while on tour in Westfield at the Doe's house. We did a bunch of gang vocals there on the microphone, and it's funny because that was the only part of the song that they got to hear because we were all on headphones, and so. You know, it was a sneak peek of the new album, but all it was us just like standing around a microphone singing that part at each other's faces for like, 25 minutes, and then we packed all our stuff up and left. So, the video for this song, however, is it's a really wacky video, and I don't think we had really planned on this video concept when we went out to Matt's place for the better part of a week to do all the videos for a bunch of these songs, and I don't think we really had a concept for this song, and I don't remember at what point of which case of beer it was that somebody suggested all piling into the van and just filming ourselves, like setting up a drum kit and amps and whatever in the back of the van, and then driving around roads and just like playing the song and recording it on the GoPro. But it sounds like something you would have suggested, Trevor.
I think it was. few too many haggis heads.
Yeah, right. We needed someone to drive and we needed someone to film. And so Matt was more familiar with his camera than Craig was. So Craig wound up being the driver. One thing I don't remember, Bruce, and you may remember, is, Craig, is that harmonica part you play live in Salonica on the record?
I was wondering that myself. Because normally I do something like driving if I didn't actually play anything.
Yeah.
And I can't remember if it is or isn't. I'm going to have to go back and listen to it.
Everybody perk up your ears and we'll all find out together, I guess. So I think that was the thing, is that Craig didn't have an instrument to play as well in the song to go along with the audio of the recording. So he wound up being our driver, and we just found one long stretch of road that didn't have any stoplights, stop signs or anything, and Craig just went up and down this road. And every time we got to the end of the section where we were comfortable driving, he would have to do a U-turn, and we would all have to grab everything in the van because Bruce's drums would try and fall over, and there's a skate hanging from the window, and the blade was swinging around. And
I couldn't believe you guys were able to stay upright because I was sitting on an actual seat. But you guys were sitting on buckets and drum stools and everything. That was amazing.
Yeah. The vast majority of the video is filmed on Matt's GoPro, which he just had up on the dashboard. So there's no fancy effects. That's actually just us in the back of our van with all the seats out, setting up instruments and playing. And it was a lot of fun. We actually had to play the song. Bruce.
That first section we did at the Egg in Albany.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, the video of it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The section that we recorded the vocals at the Doe's place, we wound up recording at the Egg in Albany. There's a bigger theater in there as well, and so there happened to just be some light on a pole sitting on that stage in the middle of that empty, massive theater, and so we just ran in there because Matt was with us on that trip, I guess.
I don't think Matt was there. I think we just set up someone's phone, maybe, or someone's camera. It was just the five of us, and there was a camera there, and someone kept running back over to turn it on.
I think you're right. I think I have my DSLR with me. Because I think maybe we realized we still needed video for that middle section. And we were going to find somewhere that we could do it. But yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, the middle of the video goes into this weird, like, double exposed Queen, all of us standing around this one light bulb singing kind of thing. But
Yeah, I had a Ghost of Paul Revere shirt on, and I think that that's what spurred them on and helped them to really get ahead.
Yeah, they got a real bump out of that.
Yeah, they did.
Ghost of Paul Revere are a fantastic band from Portland, Maine. Go check them out if you don't already know who they are. They're really, really great band, a great bunch of guys. All right, so we'll get back to some music and a very entertaining van-based video. This is called Salonica.
Rich lion, one of 15 children, lived a simple life. First I was a teacher, then became a nurse. Heard the news of war and signed up for my turn. Mother dear, I write you, I am fine and well. On the English Channel, under snow-white sail. Soldiers gone before us, where I do not know. Mother, don't be worried, give my love to all. Mother, won't you give my love to all? Montreal to London, London and to France, head to toe in white, blood upon our hands. We've heard the call, seen the worst of war. Salonica, Salonica we go. Yeah. Though too weak to vote, we serve our country well. Push beyond our limits, living close to hell. Bathing kerosene to kill the lice and fleas. Bombs around our heads and rats around our feet. We could hear the sirens in our dreams. Montreal to London, London and to France, head to toe in white, blood upon our hands. We've heard the call, seen the worst of war. Salonica, Salonica we go. So quiet and serene, wonder if that life was on the movie screen. But I got battle scars, cuts upon my skin. With no second thought, I'd do it all again. I swear that I would do it all again. Montreal to London, London and to France, head to toe in white, blood upon our hands. We've heard the call, seen the worst of war. Montreal to London, London and to France, head to toe in white, blood upon our hands. We've heard the call, seen the worst of war. Salonica, Salonica we go.
Hey, Trevor here. I grew up in a little place called Milton, Ontario. There was a guy from Milton. His name was Peter Robertson, and he wrote a book outlining ways to get out of the Great Depression. Besides that, he also invented what is undoubtedly the greatest screwdriver of all time. Which screwdriver did Peter Robertson invent?
Well, we are down to track 7, which is the final song on our EP, Broken Arms. The last song on this record is called One, which for a long time and still on our set lists, I write down as Juan, like Juan. Not really for any intelligence.
Well, I think we had a joke, a running joke when we were recording this. Not a funny joke, particularly, but you get into these stupid things when you're cooped up in the studio. Because I thought the lyrics sounded kind of like we come tonight as Manny and we leave, or we come together as Manny and we leave tonight as Juan. So then. So I think I started calling it Juan on the demos because of that. But
oh my God.
And it's carried over to the set lists.
That's great. That's really fun. Yeah, Trevor was saying that this is a song that he had the verse melody for a long time, and took a while to kind of pull a whole song together around it. It's another kind of gutter anthem-y sort of Celtic punk song, and we definitely were making a concerted effort when we recorded this record to embrace the Celtic elements of what we did, more so than on Penny Black, obviously, or even more so than like albums like White Leg, and really kind of get back to those roots. So I think this song is kind of a nod to that. I guess would be fair to say.
I think so, yeah. This one, I mean, there's a whole bunch of them, for sure. There's pipes on a bunch of the tunes and lots of fiddle, and yeah, I think that's pretty clear, yeah.
The video for this one, Matt came on the road with us for a weekend, and actually it would have been the anniversary of it just last weekend, I guess, or because he came out for Saranac Thursday in Utica, and then Friday, Saturday at the Great American Irish Fest, and then Sunday at the Oswego Harbor Fest. And he filmed us in sound checks and during the shows playing this song as many times as we possibly could, so he would have footage to cut with. And he brought his drone with him. And
I think we did One Last Drink because we realized we never had a video for One Last Drink over that same weekend. So a lot of the footage that you see from the video for One is similar footage to the
is us playing One Last Drink.
Identical for footage. What's that?
It's us playing One Last Drink.
Yeah.
I remember in Oswego, the part that did that show for this song, he kept losing control of the drone when it came in too close to the stage, and I remember having to duck a few times. It wouldn't stop coming at me, like just
terrifying.
These like rack shots where he would like fly the drone right into us and then fly it back out from us again, and I could tell that people in the audience were putting up with the fact that there was modern drones. Rose and I just bought a drone recently, and it's amazing how much quieter and easier to control they are. The one that he had was big and bulky, and it would lose its connection, and it was loud. So there's this buzzing thing that flies in like directly over people's heads and in front of the audience, and as Mark says, practically into his face. But he got some cool shots out of it. One thing that I didn't realize until literally 2 weeks ago when Rose went and took her FAA drone, the commercial drone pilot's license test, is that we were absolutely breaking the law by having Matt do that. You're not allowed to fly around crowds of people like that. You have to be FAA licensed if you're doing any commercial drone flight, meaning if you're making any videos, if you're making like anything that you're going to be using to generate income, you need to be licensed, you need to be cleared with the FAA and stuff. So
I think Matt has all that stuff, though. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. I'm sure he was totally sober as he was doing it, too.
I wonder if at the time that was a lot at the time because drones were just a new thing. So
Yeah, you could be right. Those might be restrictions that have come into play since then. And
Maybe thanks to Matt.
yeah. I'm sure there's a statute of limitations, and he can't cross the border into the U.S. right now anyway, so I'm sure it's fine.
Is that why it's closed down then? Jeez. Thanks, Matt.
I don't have a whole lot else to kind of say about this song. It was a fun one. We played it live.
Yeah, it's a song about brotherly love. We can send it to our Haggis Head friends.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, we're kind of sad to see these album listening parties coming to an end, but we will be doing another one 2 weeks from tonight, which is going to be like a B-sides and rarities. We're kind of digging up weird demos and songs that never got released and early versions of songs, and then also going through a bunch of the songs that are on Penny Red, which is the vinyl release that was released as a companion to Penny Black. So that'll be 2 weeks from tonight. We hope you guys mark your calendars and join us, because it's going to be a lot of fun. And then we've got a few more fun ideas sort of up our sleeve, which we will announce as they start to solidify. But we're hoping to be able to continue doing these hangouts anyways, because we're having a lot of fun with you guys. Okay, well, thank you for joining us tonight. As always, enter thehaggis.com/tipjar if you want to contribute to the COVID fund. And we look forward to seeing you guys in 2 weeks. This is the last song on Broken Arms, and it's called One. See ya.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Well, thank you very much. It's a brand new song about brotherly love.
We crucify these blue skies through our common history. Bloodshed stains our tired TV screens. Faces, names, and numbers like an avalanche of loss. Will we ever understand the cost? The songs that we are singing will not echo through the ages. The only time that matters is the time that we have now. So embrace like we're brothers, 'cause our hope is one another. We come tonight as many, and we leave tonight as one. It's not difficult to wonder if there's any chance for peace, or will we cut until we start to bleed? Every New Year's ringing with new promises of change that shatter like the glasses that we raise. The songs that we are singing will not echo through the ages. The only time that matters is the time that we have now. So embrace like we're brothers, 'cause our hope is one another. We come tonight as many, and we leave tonight as one.
It begins in our thoughts, in our words, in our deeds. If we care for one another, then we're watering the seed. It begins in our thoughts, in our words, in our deeds. If we care for one another, then we're watering the seed. It begins in our thoughts, in our words, in our deeds. If we care for one another, then we're watering the seed. It begins in our thoughts, in our words, in our deeds. If we care for one another, then we're watering the seed.
tonight as one.
I'm leaving this country to answer the call, to stand up and fight for the nation they have sent for me. I'm saddened to leave you and our children too. A picture of you I'll be taking in my memory. Kiss me once slowly and bid me farewell. A button my jacket, no trumpets or bells. Keep the bed warm for when I come home. Will you wait for me, Rose of Tyrone? A bucket of oats for the horse on the way, a handful of corn for the gander, like I did yesterday. And it won't be long till the leaves start to change. No, it won't be long till the snow flies, so bitter and pale. And kiss me once slowly and bid me farewell. But in my jacket, no trumpets or bells. Keep the bed warm for when I come home. Will you wait for me, Rose of Tyrone? A saber entrenched in my skin, an inglorious end. My enemy's blood is mingled with mine. Brothers in death we unite, and we could have been friends. We could have been friends. Kiss me once slowly and bid me farewell. A blood in my jacket, no trumpets or bells. Keep the bed warm for when I come home. Will you wait for me, Rose of Tyrone?
Are you high? Are you high? Are you high? Are you high?
Are you high?
Are you high?
Are you high?
Are you high?
Are you high?
Are you high?
Are you high?
Are you high?
Are you high?
Are you high?
Are you high?
Are you high?
Are you high?
Are you high?
Are you high?
Are you high?
Are you high?
Are you high?
Are you high?
Are you high?
Are you high?
Are you high?
Are you high?
Are you high?
Are you high?
Are you high?
Are you high?
Are you high?
Are you high?
Are you high?
Are you high?
Are you high?
Are you high?
Are you high?
Are you high?
Are you high?
Are you high?
Are you high?
Are you high?
Are you high?
Are you high?
Are you high?
Are you high?
Are you high?
Are you high?
Are you high?
Are you high?
Are you high?
Are you high?
Are you high?
Are you high?
Are you high?
Are you high?
Are you high?
Are you high?
Are you high?
Are you high?
Are you high?
Are you high?
Are you high?
Are you high?
Are you high?
Are you high?
Are you high?
Are you high?
Are you high?
Are you high?
Are you high?
Are you high?
Are you high?
Are you high?
Are you high?
Are you high?
Are you high?
Are you high?
Are you high?
Are you high?
Are you high?
Are you high?
Are you high?
Are you high?
Are you high?
Are you high?
Are you high?
Are you high?
Are you high?
Are you high?
Are you high?
Are you high?
Are you high? Are you high? Are you high? Are you high? Are you high? Are you high? Are you high? Are you high? Are you high? Are you high? Are you high? Are you high? Are you high? Are you high? Are you high? Are you high? Are you high? Are you high? Are you high? Are you high? Are you high? Are you high? Are you high? Are you high? Are you high? Are you high? Are you high? Are you high? Are you high? Are you high? Are you high? Are you high? Are you high? Are you high? Are you high? Are you high? Are you high? Are you high? Are you high? Are you high? Are you high? Are you high? Are you high? Are you high? Are you high? Are you high? Are you high? Are